Hello, it's Blake again. Today I'm going to look a little bit at the interactive music in Warcube and just look at how it's set up in Wwise and very briefly how things are communicated in Unity as well. So, as you can see here, we're in the music interactive layout or interactive music layout. And I just wanted to first kind of show how I'm laying out the music as a whole. So really all music that is in the game except for the pause menu here and the arena, which is kind of its whole own separate thing, is right here. Oh, also, this is as of about 5 months out of early access, so some of this might change before the final game. And if you have any recommendations, again, feel free to let me know those. So, the level gameplay hierarchy, what are these things called again? Music switch containers is kind of where most things are happening in the game. So like our menu music is here, and I would say our main the state groups really decide what's played in the game. So kind of the first level of decisions I made the state group just called music states. So if it's in the menu, where are we? If it's in the menu, set to main menu, then that will just automatically play. Some of actually a lot of these are no longer really being used. They're kind of, what's the term? Like out of date or whatever. So, oops. Explore default is probably the most common one because that essentially means you're in the level and you're in a level that you explore and whatnot. So let's see, no music out. Oh yeah, overworld, that's another one that's used, very common. So if you're alive and you're in the overworld, then that's like the big map, I guess, the world map, then that music will play. And that's just a pretty simple, there's not anything interactive in there, so that's why it's just a I just forget the name of all these things. Whatever this is. I have it set up so there's a little bit of randomization, so it doesn't always start off with the same part of the music and things like that. Because that just bugs me when it's just always the same thing over and over, especially when you're a lot of times only in there like 15, 30 seconds, a minute tops, but it's like 4 minutes of music. And same with the merchant, that's a very short thing, just a little bit of randomization to keep it interesting. Let's see, but let's jump back to the switch container level gameplay. So how we decide what switch container to get into here is mainly decided by what we call biomes. So there's essentially music for each kind of biome type right now. So we have like a beach one, which I just finished up a little while ago, or last month. Castle is kind of the outposts, so that's a little more exciting, I guess, from the beginning. And Dark Forest, Lowlands is kind of the foresty one. Dark Forest is just like a nighttime kind of forest. And Snowy one has yet to be created. And Overworld, I believe we do not use because that's set here. So that's another thing that's not needed. And also I think Arena is not used because that's its own, so I need to delete those probably. So let's take a look at the lowlands one first. So when that's set to low, essentially when you go into a level, it's a lowlands level. Right at the beginning of the level, we have it the biome state set to whatever biome it is, so lowlands, dark forest, etc. And the music state is set to explore default. And hopefully you should be alive when you start the level. And as you can see here, it goes into the forest A switch container. So let's jump over to that one, see what happens. So we wanted it to be fairly like just the music to kind of take care of itself in whatever situation it puts it in, and for the most part we don't have to decide this area does this, because it's only me working on it, and I don't have a ton of time. So the biggest driver for the music is what we call the combat intensity state. So this we only use 3 right now, but potentially if we want to add further levels we can. So combat 0-0 essentially means that there's no enemies around, and and you're not in combat, you're not fighting any enemies. Combat 01 means there are enemies nearby, kind of in your radius, but they're not aware of you and you're not engaging in them. And then combat 02 means you're fighting, you're in combat. So the music will change based on those settings. And I'll get onto the other stuff first. Oops. First, let's look at how this is probably going to chug, but Craig set this up that we have, oh nice, I can view it here. So in our game manager we have a status manager, and this is in Playmaker visual scripting plugin for Unity. Boy, I can't talk about this in too much detail because I didn't set it up, but essentially when the game's running it sends out these different volumes that check for enemies and let's see, different things like that. So let's see, let's just boot up our little test level, and I can just kind of show you. But you can kind of see over here the variables we have set for the different combat intensities. Alright, oh yeah, so there's the volume right there. So that went to check for enemies, anything with like an enemy tag. So when that is, so we're in non-combat. But then after, right now we have it on a delay of, I'm not sure what, but it will essentially keep checking for these different combat states using this radius. So it's been working out alright right now. I think the only problem is it doesn't fire too often because we didn't want to tax the game too much. But it's definitely better than just one track for the whole level by a long shot. So let's make some enemies in the game and make sure we have music here, right? Okay, so we have our beach. So if they see me, might take a little bit, but the combat music should, oh yeah, so we switched to in combat maybe, but it has to get to a transition point in the music. Here it is. So now we're into to our combat music. Lag it back. Okay. Oops. Get me out. Okay, so you kind of saw it in game there a little bit. So let's jump over to Unity and show you a little bit. Oh, sorry. Into Wwise. Show you how that's set up. So some of the levels, the music for the levels is has 3 separate what are the I always forget what these called. Music playlist containers, but a couple of them just have 2, and there's just some like some elements that fade in and out when you get into Combat 01, which is that enemies are nearby kind of vibe. So the forest one has separate ones for each state. So the Combat 01 is that is not what we're trying to play. Oh, and sometimes we have a little bit of silence too, which is nice. So flute, good old Celtic flute, and there's our Combat 01. But I'll show you in, let's see, like Dark Forest is a good example. This one only has 2 music playlists because in here we have a track. Where is it? Is it the French? Oh yeah, these 2 with the RTPC and activated. So it's like some percussion and this like cluster, French horn cluster that of course you can't hear right now because anyways, so that will fade in and out because I set up an RTPC that with a really slow slew rate, so when you get into Combat 01 that stuff will just kind of fade in and fade out very slowly using the same events and stuff, so that was nice. So I'll demo that here in our Soundcaster. So let's go to Lowlands, Explorer Default, Alive. Okay, we should be good. Oh, we're in Lowlands though. Let's try this again. Alright, so the Dark Forest Combat 01 music, or Combat 00 music is playing, but if you switch into Combat 01, it will also make this RTPC go up. So when I raise this value, I think it's the max is 20, you'll slowly start to hear the percussion and these cluster French horns very slightly in the background. I don't know why they stopped there. Usually they should. Maybe it's because the melody's playing there. I think the French horns might only play in certain areas, but the... Oh yeah, there's the French horns. Yeah. But the drums will go away as soon as I bring that down. So that one's a little... this one's a little different because it's just 2 music playlists for the Combat 0 and Combat 01, and then the actual combat, which we'll transition to here at the end of this segment, maybe. Sometimes I find this doesn't always register the state changes. Ah, there it is, okay. So then we go into the full combat music sound. While we're on this too, player dies. I have the same death music that plays for all of them, but the win music I recently changed to be individualized for each level. So I mean they're all a little similar, but it's kind of nice to have this unique win sound for each level. So let's jump back in. We're alive, and let's win. So that's pretty instant. It might be set to on the next beat or something, but for the most part, it's pretty instant. And then overworld. What is this? This sets the state to overworld. So that's if you're back into the world map. Let's jump back over to music state. Okay. Gonna turn off our wind state. Oops. Let's do the lowlands here. Oops. So usually you'll start off you always start off with no one around you, with all the levels so far. But the nice thing is, the music, can jump straight into combat if it needs to too. You don't have to go through combat 01 if those trigger radiuses decide it. So there we jump straight into combat 02, and we can drop down to combat 01, 2 from here. It's been working out pretty well so far. Let's win here and hear the win music for this particular level. Ta-da. All right, so if you want to stop watching here, no worries. Let's look at the arena 2 quickly. So the arena. Boy, I don't know if I have the events in here. I might have to drop them in quick. Arena enter, equipment room enter, and arena music start. Okay, let's give this a shot. So none of these really matter. Arena location. So start off in the equipment room. Okay, but in the arena. There we go. Okay. So we have it kind of set up so there's this like big low pass and super reverby, so it sounds like it's down below you in this kind of equipment room like prep music. And then in the game you're on a lever or a platform and you drop into the arena. So when you enter the arena, the low pass kind of comes off, and eventually we want to get some crowds and stuff in there too, so it'll be like a really epic entrance. Right now it just transitions into another music playlist with a little bit of a because the tempo is different between the two. That was a little difficult, so there's like a tempo increase you'll hear in a second into the track for when you get into the arena. So let's check that out. God dang it. Okay. Apparently I need to have one of these events too. Maybe probably lever pull. See if I can do these at like the same time. So I think there's some events that should play there that aren't, but you get a good idea of how the music's working there. Alright, so that is my little demo of some of the things going on in interactive music in Wwise for Warcube. And I hope it was more concise than my last one, because that was a long video. Oh shoot, this one was too, but that's how it is. See ya.